What's up, everyone? Simon here. I'm currently making this video to kind of share with you guys some information and share some details on how to kind of shoot your receptions a little bit better. One of the most important things that a lot of people really have problems with is kind of assessing the situations and kind of figuring out how to, better meter for the film that you're shooting. Before we go into all this stuff, I just want to give you guys some information about myself. Um, Before I came into film photography, I was a fashion photographer, so I spent a lot of time kind of studying lighting and kind of studying the way the light works and how it falls out and how it bounces. And I think that's very important for receptions. When you're doing receptions, you really have to understand the kind of light that you're working with so that when you're using it, you can better manipulate it to have so that you can get that better exposure. Cool. So, what film stocks do I use? I personally prefer to use Fuji 400. One of the main reasons why I use Fuji 400 is because I feel that Fuji 400 is very consistent and they have a very nice variety of film stocks to use, like Fuji Natura 1600, Superia 1600, Fuji 400. I've seen Fuji 800 from time to time. I've also seen, you know, Fuji Extra 400, kind of like a consumer film. But I feel like overall it still has like a nice tone. So I mean, when it comes down to film stocks, you can use anything. Black and white works. To be honest with you, black and white works best. I mean, the reason why I think white and black works best is because it's only focusing on highlights and shadows. So when you're recording details, you have a more intense highlight and an intense shadow with black and whites. And color is represented in different kinds of light intensities, recorded in different light intensities. There you go. So, you know, you have to really pick and choose the film stocks that you think are best for the choices. And I bet some people are thinking, well, what about Portra? I personally like Portra also, but I feel like for myself, since I'm a Fuji shooter, that Portra just wouldn't work for me. But Portra does have some benefits. For example, the new Portra 400, it has an amazing flexibility with the exposure latitude. For example, you can get two stops over exposures without any problems at all, and you can even get two stops under exposures with no problems at all. And I'll show you guys all that kind of later inside the video. And let's talk about metering. I think that's something that a lot of people are having problems with. I feel like for myself, um, you're not going to use the metering like in the middle of a dance floor. I mean, think about it. Everybody's moving, and you're not going to be able to meter that. I mean, it's just physically impossible. I think one of the easier things to do is to meter a subject that's actually like not moving, like details and stuff, so that you can kind of get a better like exposure for it. And there are different options to show with metering, but I don't have a camera, so it'd be very hard to show you guys. But there are buttons on inside of the meter that you guys can push to measure the actual flashlight. So to wrap things up, I think finding a film stock that you really like and enjoy and using it a lot is important. So let's get into like different scenarios and different situations you guys are going to encounter. One of my favorite lighting techniques is to backlight my photos. I mean, I think backlighting my photos are one of my favorite techniques that I use. This is an image of a Portra 800. One of the main reasons why it's so intense the way it is right now is because you can see the, the smoke really gives it that effect because it's a neutral gray, the smoke itself. So when the light is hitting it, it's actually bouncing back, and that's why you're seeing like a larger um, light source per se. You can see it's very intense right here. So I shot this at full power, and you're going to see that um, sometimes it works well and sometimes it don't. But the car is also white, so this is one of the things that you're just going to have to figure out with time as you shoot. This photo right here is one of my favorites. I assessed the situation and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna backlight the photo and I'm gonna spread the light because that would really make it easier to wrap them in that light. And you're gonna get lots of different examples, as you keep shooting. You're gonna figure out. So these are backlights. These situations are great. This is one of my favorite photos. It's pitch black and just the whole area was dark, and I just put the light there and backlit the whole image, and I thought that was perfect. You're gonna get images like this where it's gonna be a little bit brighter. So just judging by the situation, like I was telling you guys, you're gonna be running into situations where everything is just white, and that is pretty much your favorite type of locations when shooting, because that really allows the light to bounce back. So the light's aimed at them, and what's going on is that the light is hitting them, and then it's hitting the wall, and then it's coming right back at them. And you're going to see examples of that right here, right here. You can see that the light is bouncing back at the girl. You can see right here how this area right here is just more intense. Like you can see this circle. It's like a weird small circle, and the reason why is because he's got a black suit, so the darkness is absorbing the light, and you can see how hers is just so much brighter right here, and that's because it's hitting her and then hitting the wall and then hitting right back at her, and you can see this large bouncing back and forth, and that's what's happening in these photos. And you can see right here where they're not bouncing back, but you can see that the veil in this area is allowing the light to spread inside the picture, and that's what's giving it that contrast, that distinction, and everything else is pitch black. So you have more examples. Kissing, up close. When you're up close, you're just going to be more saturated. The color's going to be more saturated. You're going to be white, and you can see how this is so well illuminated. That's because when you're going into a situation and you're looking at the white wall, you're going to see that it's easier to bounce that light. And same with here, where you have all the blooms. So just to recap, it's just I love backlight lit photos. It's just my style. I think that I want to show that to my clients a lot, and I really enjoy that. So let's go with black and white. You can see, ooh, wow, yeah, this is a raw image. So let me fix this real quick for you guys. See how by just adjusting, boom, it's fixed. So before, after. So black and white photos is just the best. You can capture so much details inside a black and white photo, and it's just something that you can meter all day long, and you're not black and white has a way of really like telling you guys, like, hey guys, it's bright, it's light, and it doesn't matter if you record it, even if you push the film, you're still going to get a positive result. But with black and white film, you can easily push it to push plus 3 stops, HP5, push it plus 3 stops. That's already 3200, and it will look very similar to this, but this is Delta 3200. So you're gonna get situations where just more photos. Like in this photo, it's all dark. So this wouldn't be considered a reception, but just to reiterate the flexibility of Ilford HP5 or black and white film. So let's see. Black and white's pretty standard. You can see the light right here. See how it just records white and it records black, and you can see that texture and tone, the difference that it's being recorded. So right here, so more of the first dance stuff. So yeah, that's kind of my black and white process. But just approaching the scene and taking a look at it, I knew right away that it's bright, it's well lit, it's illuminated, and pushing my film, my black and white film especially, I would definitely get positive results with it, and that's why I do it. And even if you shoot color film, by the way, um, with color film, of course, there's more flexibility with black and white because it's so much easier to shoot black and white in a reception than it is color. But with color, sometimes if you mess up, you can just convert it to black and white and call it a day. You're still going to get that same grain structure that you're looking for because, that's really what you want is that, when people are thinking about, oh, that film look, well, that film look is just the grain texture that's inside the photos. I mean, anybody can replicate the colors, but that grain texture, it's pretty difficult and to kind of, reenact. So pretty much, just to recap, situations like this is very bright, so I know, okay, it will look good because it's bright. Let's go into situations like this. I mean, this area is just pitch black. I mean, it's a wedding venue in Houston. It's called Big Sky Barn. It's very dark. You can see some examples inside where this whole place is just pitch black. I mean, there's nothing you can do in here. Like this light right here was just the only light source, and you can see in the bottom right here, it's so dark in the shadows, and that's because not enough light is being spread to the bottom. But you can see how it's spread to the top and bouncing back. So just kind of understanding the light is going to allow you to kind of choose how you want to shoot your photos, and I'll kind of go into that. So for example, these ones right here, this is A04 HP5. Pushed it 3 stops. You can see how clear everything is. And the thing is that the flash was being bounced from the very top and back down. So you can kind of see that the kind of illumination that's being well with the light. Look at this guy. Yeah, so here's more examples. This is a very small room, small confined room. So when you're shooting, you're definitely going to get that light coming in and out. Here is a Delta 3200, and I was telling you guys about the Big Sky Barn, how dark it was. So what I did was I kind of put it against them, and I just shot it straight to them. And you know what? These are situations where you just can't control it, and it's normal. So kind of going forward, that's flash with the flash forward. So certain situations where what, I know it's dark. Like I know this area is dark. It's brown. Rustic venues. I know that it's just too dark. I mean, don't even try to meter. Don't even, don't even. You're not gonna get you're gonna get 1/4 of a second. Maybe 1/15th on a good day, maybe. you know, and it's just dark, and there's nothing you can do about it. So bouncing light's definitely not gonna do it. So it's just best to point it at it and just shoot. You can see how intense this is. Like you can see how intense I stood far back and I knew, okay, well, I need to get the light to them somehow. So I zoomed the light in and I bumped up the intensity because I know why not put at, half power, because a full power, it's like a full stop of light. Might as well put um, half power and then zoomed it on them so that when I shoot from how far it was, it'll definitely illuminate them. So I mean, these are situations where you can see how dark this is. Look at all this, how dark it is. But it gives a nice vintage feel to it. That's what I really like, and I think it's situational. I'm not always going to shoot like this. I don't prefer to shoot like this, but when the venue and situations do arise, I will shoot like that. And you know what? Sometimes you'll get great photos, like these right here. Amazing photos. Um, let's just talk about details. This wasn't shot with a flash. This was shot with a video light. You just place a video light, and then you can just put the meter right in front of it and just meter intensity of light and call it a day. And you can do that because it's a stationary subject. It's not moving anywhere. So, here's the details. Here's more examples of video lights and stuff like that. You can use video lights and they're not moving. It's easy for you to just capture that photo and meter and capture that photo. Right here, I metered for it. I knew right away that there's no way I could hold my camera, so I put it on a tripod and I just shot this. So that's pretty simple. So different reception situations. Um, so remember I was telling you guys about assessing a situation. You can see this area right here where it's very confined, and these are the kind of areas that you guys are gonna like, and you're probably thinking, well, I probably don't get it often, but situations like this, okay, well, I can bounce that light forward, and that's what you want to do. Just bounce it forward and just use it. Everything's situational. Over here, you guys are thinking, whoa, this is very, very different. When I metered for this situation, I got, it was actually pretty well lit. Actually, you wouldn't believe it, but it's pretty well lit because you have a white floor. So the white floor on the bottom is bouncing light back, which is interesting. So, how to meter for this? Well, the thing is that if you point the light forward or anything, you're going to get a lot of um, like bright light. So in this situation, what would you want to do? I feather the light, and that's just a technique that I use to kind of just get the side of the flash, and that's just something that you kind of get to just give just a little boost of light. So you can see that right there. So same thing, just top light. You can see some photos here, movements. You can see, like I said, this area you can see is white. So I go in and I adjust to the situations, and I kind of you know assess and pick what I think is the best for the situation. So just going into more reception photos. Um, this is all Fuji 400H with very simple editing, very light editing. I try not to use too much on my images. You can see that this was shot with a Canon 35 millimeter, and that's a pretty good camera to use for these kind of situations. So here's some more examples. So I mean, just to kind of recap these kind of lightings, it just has a lot to do with um, just the situation and where you guys are at. If it's just too dark and you guys know it's dark, I mean, your clients are not going to get mad at you for pointing a flash at them. That's just the only way. Or you can pull out your digital camera, but it's kind of like sticking to your craft, and kind of like choosing it and using it. I mean, I try to always shoot film and stick to it. This guy's shooting digital, but I try to stick to film, and I try to learn it and use it. I mean, that's what I'm in it doing, and I try to do it that way. I mean, these are well lit images. You can see the light right here is at the top because it's bouncing from the top and coming back down. So you can see this intensity right here. So when it comes down to just editing, just a quick editing, tips and stuff like that. Sometimes you're gonna get muddy photos. Like you're gonna get photos like this, and this is just really muddy. This is Portra 400. This is one thing I love about Portra 400 is it's super flexible, super flexible. Something that anyone can use compared to Fuji, and you can see that this is the unedited version. This is the edited version, and this is very much usable, like very usable. Like I think even I would deliver this. Like I think this is good enough for delivering. This is an event I covered right here, right here. You can see it's super muddy. It's super green. Like, oh my gosh. But the thing is that this is the situation that you were placed in. This is the light that was available. So I mean, you can fix it up a little bit, and still bring it back with post processing. But at the same time, that's just something that you're just gonna have to do. I've been in situations where the receptions are horrible. Take a look at this photo, for example. I mean, this photo was just like lots of rustic venues. They love that epic feel and look, but the problem is that for us film photographers, we get a little bit kind of like taken aback because it works against us, not with us. So you're going to see photos like this, and it's just adjusting to it. You guys are wondering what film stock I used on this one. I used a combination of Portra 800 and Fuji Superior 1600 for this one because it was just so much easier to use. So this is this is not a reception photo, but I want to give you guys like an example of just bridal prep situations where it's super dark and how you're gonna meet her and how you're gonna adjust to it. I mean, this is the before and this is the after. So I mean, you're gonna get muddy photos. That's just a common thing. It's about how you push it and how you handle it afterwards. That's important. I have some examples here where um, kind of earlier in my career, I point the light forward and I use a TTL. So it's interesting how TTL works. I'll go more into that during my answering the questions and stuff like that. You can see some more examples of um, Fuji 400 right here. You can see that I bounced the light forward and kind of got this. And certain situations, if you look down here, you can see it's white at the bottom, and that's important that you want to pay attention to when you're looking at different situations. You can see how everything in this picture here is kind of clear, crisp. And that's because I didn't flash any light on them. I didn't push any light. I just used the feather of the light and I adjusted it. So, interestingly enough, the feather is pretty gosh darn close to getting that color rendition. So just to show you guys some more examples, bouncing the light forward and kind of, getting feathers of lights, and that's kind of like these are what these photos are like. So this one, you can see I point the flash right at them, and you can see that, that's just kind of what I thought would look great for that situation. You can see this photo right here where it's super, super crisp and clean, and that has a lot to do with um, the light that's being bounced at the very top and bounced at the bottom, and you can see these two lights on the side that's reflecting light. So I mean, this is just a well lit image. You have a small, like I said, area at the very top, so no one when the light comes up, it comes right back down. So it's just perfectly lit the photo. I added this photo in. This is a photo that I enjoyed making. It was in Brazil. It's an editorial that I did in Brazil for an event planner. Um, the photo was done on my Contax 645 on a tripod. You can see how it's angled in an angle. And I just want to add this in that you can use film for receptions and you can make it look good. So just to give you guys some more examples, this photo right here, I had to use a feather of the light. You can see how well lit that everything is, and you guys are probably thinking feathering, feathering, feathering. It's just you want to use the tip of your flash. So if you guys look at this photo right here, you can see that my flash hit the wall and it came right back down. So these are good examples. Here's an example that that was really good. This is a backlit photo with a front lit photo. So it's like two angles of light coming in, and you can see that more in here. So you have like a video light in the front, and then you have a light in the back. So you have that rim light you can see right here, and you have more light in the front. I mean, this is a great setup. Only problem is that it's a little more complicated to replicate, especially on film. If you want to do that, I'd recommend it, but that's just going to take a little bit of time to do. I can do it. I think it's great, but for me, it's just not consistent with my images. Like I feel like these are the images that I am more drawn to. Like the well lit images for me sometimes are fun to use, but I just love that natural reception feel to my photos. Like I want my people and clients to see that they were there, nothing like artificial, just naturally happening as it is. And it's easier to carry one flash around and shoot that versus like 10 different light stands with 3 assistants and stuff like that. That's just crazy. It's just crazy. So this photo right here is inside this venue that you can see. It's well lit. I mean, everything's white, so you can tell that the event planner really did a great job setting this up. I mean, look at the way photographed. I mean, this was shot on a 35 millimeter film, Canon 1V with 35 millimeter 1.4 lens. It was just easy. No editing, no nothing required, no flash. This is just a well lit image. I mean, you can see that right here. And then you can see in this photo right here, they turned it down, the light. So in this photo right here, this is before the cake cutting. This is the before after. So cake cutting, I make my little adjustments. This is kind of what they do before, during cake cutting. I just put a video light there and just take a picture, meter, and take a picture. I mean, you get 1/60th of a second all day, f2, easily. So this photo right here, you can't bounce the light up here, so you have to feather the light in the situation. Like when you're looking at it, you can see the floor is dark, everywhere is dark. The only thing that's bright is the people around you. Well, this girl is crazy. Pretty cool, but crazy. So you can see that you can't bounce the light, so you're going to have to use what's available to you. And same with these situations right here. So if you're thinking about relative distance now, so let's talk about like distance and stuff like that. When you look at a photo like this, you think about relative distance. When you're shooting your flash and how to meter for these kind of situations, what you would do is you would meter for the distance that you're going to be, which is about 5 or 6 feet in front of you. I mean, that's kind of like a normal distance. And what you want to do is you want to point the meter, and you really want that meter to kind of like, reflect his face. So you want the meter right in front of his face, and you want to meter that because with the bulb out, because you're going to measure the light area that's coming in and out of the area of that bulb. So when you meter, you pop the flash, and then you meter that light that's coming in. Depending on which meter you use, I use a Sekonic L358. You can set it to like a flash setting, and it will record the light when it's popped with the transceiver. So that's what you would do for this kind of situation, and check the flash meter. And that's kind of like how you would want to check for that situation. So just moving forward, let's see. Yeah, so these are some of my reception photos that I have done in the past that I really like. I try to keep it consistent with one flash, as you guys can see. I try to keep just one thing, that way it doesn't look too complicated. So going into like questions, you guys can see that all these images are Fuji 400. I feel like for myself, I think Fuji 400 is a really awesome film stock. I think it's really flexible. I think it's very useful. Honestly, I don't even have to push the film for it to come out like that. All I have to do is adjust the light for it to look good. So let me get some questions here. Just a quick, soft, question and answer to kind of just answer a few questions that everybody is wondering. So everybody's thinking, okay, well, why not just shoot digital and stuff like that? The thing about digital is when you're shooting digital, I mean, it's great for you guys to test the settings and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you guys are shooting digital images, unless you're converting it to black and white, your color images are never going to look as vibrant as some of the photos. You can see how like the texture here, you can see that the grain texture that's inside. I mean, it just looks like a vintage photo, like a clear vintage photo. You can see that grain structure right here. It's ridiculous, and that's just something that you're just not going to see very often, especially like in these backlit images. I mean, Jesus, like the grain, the stuff, the specs, it's very different. I had a question about TTL versus manual. I feel like TTL is great, but the thing is that when you use TTL, it's going to automatically do it for you. And that's great. It's great that it automatically does it for you. But the thing is that when you go into a different situation, TTL is going to do exactly one thing that you want it to do, and TTL only has one job. So it's not going to do crazy stuff that's super flexible. So for example, you can't put it at the back of a light stand like this and be like, "Hey TTL, fire, fire the TTL and adjust it for me, okay?" It's not going to know what to do. I mean, these are situations where TTL just isn't going to cut it for you. But maybe if you're shooting something like like a flash forward photo, you can see that, okay, let me get the TTL and adjust the intensity. I mean, at the end of the day, it's finding a photo that you really really like, and kind of like, hey, I want to replicate this, I want to sell this, and that's what your clients want to see is consistent imagery. I try to keep it consistent from photo to photo. I try to keep the same look, the same light, the same intensity. It's kind of what I focus on. But sometimes you're just not going to get situations where it's perfect. That's just how things are going to be. What film works really really well? I got this question from Matt. For me, I think Fuji 400 works really well for me, but I know for sure that Portra 400 is extremely flexible. So it's kind of like figuring out the look that you want and just kind of sticking to it. Because Portra 400 is flexible, you you have like a more better, bigger range of things that you can do with the photos. Especially if you're going for like a darker look, which can or cannot work. I personally like a more well lit photo, so I'm going to stick with Fuji. Fuji does have some advantages. For example, they have a bigger film stock line, like Fuji Natura 1600, Superior 1600, Extra 800, Extra 400. Some of these photos, like you can see that, oh well, it's Fuji 400 and Superior 800. So it's just Fuji Extra 800. So it's I kind of add consumer film in it too. I think consumer film works, especially with reception photos. You just kind of have to really adjust it and see. Sometimes it's not 100% perfect, but it will definitely get down what you guys are looking for. So I got a question asking, what strength do you use just for your speed lights? I mean, there's no specific strength that I would recommend, because every situation is so different. If I gave you guys like, hey guys, use you know half power or full power even, you might get crazy images where it's like all blanked out. Like for example, where is it? You can look, if I say like, hey, use full power, boom, you're gonna get like images where sometimes it's just a little bit tad bit blown out, and that's something that you're just gonna have to adjust. I mean, when I look at this image, I'm thinking to myself like, what? I had this white area. Why did I have to use full power? But sometimes you're just in a rush and you're just kind of, okay, let's just get that shot. Just get it over with, because you're being rushed, you know and you just grab it and go. I mean, sometimes it looks good, and sometimes it won't look so great. So it's always good to get some backup shots in different lights and situations. This photo right here looks great, but one of the things that, I mean, I definitely think it's usable. It's still good in my opinion, but um, the context for five focusing sometimes is going to be a little bit more difficult than normal. Like you can see how blurry it is right here, and that's normal. Sometimes you're just going to get images like that. Not all images are going to come out perfectly crisp and clean. And I personally, just have to keep trying and keep doing it. But yeah, I hope I'm able to kind of answer you guys, and I hope that the video will shed some light on some different reception scenarios that you guys will come across. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely answer them in the next video that I make. I just wanted to let everybody know that this year, April 4 to 6 at Cannon Beach, I will be hosting a workshop together with Stacy Foley Design of Joed, who will be designing the workshop. It will be an amazing workshop for you guys. And within those night sessions that we have at night from throughout the day, we're going to have a session where I will be teaching a little more about receptions, kind of a hands-on experience about equipment, how to use it, and you're going to see Polaroid photos of the actual photos that are being taken. That way it'll give you guys a better idea of how to kind of use your reception lightings or how to light stuff up at night. For more information regarding the workshop, check the link down below. I'll leave all my information there. If you guys have anything else, feel free to send them my way. Until next time, I'll see you guys around.